You may remember a video where I was talking about how empathy can be weaponized. And now today I want to talk about how partners can get trapped in this dynamic where a wounded feminine energy weaponizes empathy and why it's just so hard to see it. And I'll walk it step by step because this kind of trap forms slowly, quietly, and very rationally too. So the trap really begins with relief, not red flags. At first, the partner feels seen in a way that they've never been seen before. And let's say for the sake of this video that it's not a wounded feminine energy in a male. Let's say that this time it's the woman. Wounded feminine energy in a woman. So she's listening, right? She's got the tone shift, like the radar's up. She's anticipating feelings. She is naming emotions before they're spoken. And to the partner, to the guy, he's feeling seen. He said, this is attunement. This is depth. This is emotional safety. This is maturity, especially for partners who have felt unseen, carried emotional labor in past relationships, or longed for someone with emotional intelligence, okay? So the nervous system's gonna relax, but it's bonding through resonance, not logic. So in the first stage, empathy is replacing the structure. Early on, empathy feels like leadership. She may say things like, oh, I want to be careful with your feelings, or I don't want to hurt you, or I feel things really deeply. But you're going to notice what's missing. Clear decisions, defined direction, explicit commitment, or grounded follow through. You're not going to see those things because empathy is becoming a substitute for clarity. And then the partner is unconsciously filling in those gaps. Oh, she feels so deeply, she must care. Oh, she's sensitive, so I'm not going to pressure her. And reverse this where it's applicable, right? If the hook fits, let it fit. Okay, so the second stage is where the partner starts self-regulating for them. Because the wounded feminine energy feels so deeply, right, that the other partner is going to start editing themselves. I don't want to overwhelm them. I will soften this for them. I'll just wait until they're in a better place and then we'll have the conversation. And this is subtle, but it's critical. Because what happens is that needs start getting delayed, desires are minimized, the truth gets cushioned, and the person who isn't in the wounded feminine energy is managing emotional impact. And then without realizing it, they're taking on containment. Yes? The empathy has quietly switched roles. Okay, stage 3. Empathy becomes the emotional authority. At this point, the person who isn't in the wounded feminine energy that's weaponizing empathy is becoming the emotional interpreter of the relationship. And so that person might say, oh, I can feel them pulling away. I know when they're hurt. I sense that this would upset them and they just need space or time to heal, or like this is just a stage in life for them, when the partner hasn't even said those things. So this does two things. The person who's using empathy as a weapon is staging themselves as emotionally ahead, and it removes their partner's ability to define their own experience. So now the partner starts thinking, well, maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm more upset than I thought. Maybe they know something that I don't know. And here, empathy becomes more of an epistemic power. It's authority over meaning. Now, eventually, in the final stage, the partner becomes the regulator. The person who is not using empathy as a weapon, right? They're sort of the victim of this. They end up doing the emotional labor on both sides. They are regulating their own disappointment, managing the other person's overwhelm, interpreting their silence, and justifying their inconsistency. Because empathy's involved, but it's not caring, it's exploitative. Let me tell you why this is so hard to leave. First, there's no villain here. No one's being cruel, no one's being aggressive. Number 2, empathy is blurring the accountability. Any request for change can be viewed as emotional pressure. Number 3, the person who isn't exploiting the empathy feels like they are the problem. And they don't want to seem demanding, cold, or insensitive, right? So they just stand back. Also, and this is the key, the connection's going to feel deep, but it ain't going nowhere. There is no emotional intimacy when empathy is weaponized. None. And this will just create a loop. There's depth with no direction. There's closeness, but there's no commitment. And there's understanding, but there's no change. And the partner gets trapped because empathy is replacing leadership. And they mistake the sensitivity for safety. You ain't safe. You ain't safe. Because safety requires these 4 things, not just understanding: clarity, consistency, containment, and choice. So the dynamic is only going to break when the partner who isn't weaponizing the empathy realizes this. It's avoidance, trapped in tenderness. The person who's weaponizing the empathy needs to integrate their masculine energy, get clear, and grow the fuck up, or the relationship will collapse. Now, both outcomes are alignment. Now, if you're someone who's been trapped in this loop, right? Your partner is using empathy and weaponizing it against you. Oh, they're so sensitive and they're just so meager and I don't want to upset them, right? You're getting trapped for 3 reasons. You value emotional depth, right? You probably lead with compassion. And you probably believe that empathy means safety, like that they give a fuck. But you have to learn the distinction. Empathy should support the truth, not replace it. Let me know if you have questions about this. This is a weird one because people think empathy is a great thing and sometimes it's just not. All right, go.